video is going to be a demonstration of this classic wooden turntable sent to me by the fine people at 1byone, and they provided me with this turntable to evaluate and test, and we're going to take a look at what this thing is, what it can do, how does it sound. I'm going to let you hear the sound off this thing, what it does. It's a 3-speed turntable. It has USB to MP3 function, and it also has auxiliary jacks on it, 3.5mm auxiliary jacks. I haven't even opened it yet, I just got it today. So let's unbox this unit first of all and see exactly what's in the box. So here's the specifications. It's a 3-speed turntable. It'll handle 33, 45, and 78 RPM. It's a belt drive system. It has 2 speakers with 2 times 2 watts, so it'll actually play your records directly. It has RCA output jacks, a 3.5mm auxiliary jack, phono record function, USB to MP3, and 45 RPM adapter is included. And it comes with a DC power adapter. So we're going to open this unit up here, and I'm going to put it through the paces. I'm going to try all the features of this thing, including to see what the quality is like going from the turntable to MP3. And I'll actually let you listen to clips recorded on this unit, direct from this unit, no microphone translation. I'm not going to play it through speakers and record it with a microphone. I'm going to take the recording directly from this so that you can hear exactly what this unit produces. And we'll be able to tell right away whether this is any good or whether it's absolute garbage. So let's crack it open and take a look and take a listen to it. So the box open, everything's all nicely wrapped up here. As you can see, we'll slide the unit out of the box. And inside here, there's an instruction manual. Let's take a look at the instruction manual first before we get into this and see whether this is actually written in English or Chinglish. Let's take a look. So here's page 1 of our manual. It shows the back panel. It's got a line output, left and right RCA outputs, an auxiliary input, and the control panel. I'm not going to bore you with the instructions, but there's the manual there. Just tells you how to power the unit up and so forth. And the manual comes in multiple languages, so this unit is shipped anywhere. It was actually sent to me through Amazon. I think probably I may have to look at the instructions just to figure out how to record onto a USB stick. I've never used one of these, so I might browse through the instructions. But let's crack open the styrofoam here. I want to take a look at this thing. And then once we've tested it out, we will take it apart and check the build quality out on it. The unit comes nicely packed. And there's the turntable and the tone arm. Let's take a look at the cartridge and see what it's got as far as the cartridge goes. I've just got the turntable on its side. I've removed the stylus so we can take a look at the cartridge. This appears to be a ceramic cartridge, not a magnetic cartridge. So the sound quality will be directly related to the type of cartridge on. So don't expect this thing to have the sound quality of a magnetic turntable, but some ceramics actually can sound pretty good. And there's the stylus. It is a replaceable stylus on here. The cartridge actually is replaceable too, but again, if it's a ceramic cartridge, you wouldn't be able to put a magnetic one on because it would need a preamp. But all things considered, let's take a listen to how this thing sounds. I just noticed that this actually is real wood. I thought it was going to be plastic, but it's actually, the base is actually made out of real wood, and it actually looks quite nice. I hope it sounds as good as it looks. To replace the stylus, it's just the opposite of removing it. To remove it, you just push straight down. To replace the stylus, and it's all in the instruction book, you just slide the new stylus in place like that. There it is. Okay, first thing we have to do is we have to release the transport screws here. So we're just going to screw that down. What that does is that releases the mechanism. It is spring loaded. Release the transport screws. Let's plug this thing in and see how it sounds. And if we look on the back, we've got line outputs. So this does not require a phono input on your amplifier. It'll plug right into the auxiliary inputs on an amplifier. I'm going to plug it in to my Sony here, and we'll listen to it through my little PSP speakers. I'm actually going to try it with the built-in speakers here first, just to see how they sound. Then we'll try it through my shop speakers, and I will also make a recording using the USB conversion function, which will record the music onto a USB stick. Now they're saying that you shouldn't use a USB stick greater than 32 gigabytes. They're saying use something smaller because it may not be compatible with flash drives with more than 32 gigabytes. So I will find a smaller one and we'll try some recordings on this thing. Speed is selected with a 3-position switch here, 33, 45, and 78. The turntable starts rotating automatically. I'm just lifting up the tone arm here. When you move the tone arm, it starts rotating. And there's 3 speeds. And that should be interesting because you know what? I have some old, very old 78 records. Maybe we'll try a 78 record on this thing. Now, this is going to be going, this goes back, this was my aunt's and my grandmother's collection. So this is going to be some really, really, really old stuff from the 1930s probably. But I'm going to go dig up a 78 RPM record. We'll try that on this thing. I'm not holding my breath for sound off 78 because typically you need to use a different stylus for 78 RPM. You need to use a mono stylus, so 78s probably won't sound that great on it, but let's try it out just for the heck of it. We'll try all different speeds. I picked the album for my demonstration here. George Benson in concert at Carnegie Hall, recorded live in 1975, obviously at Carnegie Hall. I'm going to use this one because, well, it's a live recording. The sound is actually pretty good. And I have a recording of this that I made from my other turntable so that we can do a direct comparison between what this one turns out and what I got off of my Technics SL-M1 when I recorded this album onto my PC many years ago. So let's just take a quick listen using the built-in speakers and see how this sounds for a few seconds here, and then we'll try it through the other speakers. I'm actually quite impressed. You know, the sound quality out of the built-in speakers is actually not too bad. It's got some pretty good bass. Okay, now let's connect it up to my shop system. Okay, now I've connected it up to my amplifier. And we'll see how it sounds through my little bit larger speakers. There's the built-in speakers. So now I'm going to try the USB conversion function. I got to go grab my little USB stick and read up on how to do it. It can't be that difficult. So let's go through the manual and see how I go about recording that track onto my USB stick. So this sounds pretty straightforward. It says plug in the USB stick and put your record on the turntable. And it just basically says press the phone or record button when you want to start recording, and the blue indicator lights will start to flash, and then press it again when you're finished recording. And use the USB MP3 button. With the blue light is on, you can hear the recording track on the USB stick. It says the phono record is only for phonograph recording, and phono record is recording music from the phono record through the USB stick of the device. So let's cue the record up. This sounds too easy. And press the record button, and the light starts to blink. I'm going to let this entire ride. So I'm going to let this whole thing record, and then we'll see how it sounds. Okay, here's the end of the track coming up here. So it says to stop the recording. After the music is stopped, I just press the phone or record button again. And that stops the recording. Now, according to the instruction manual, to play that recording back, all I need to do is just press the USB to MP3 button, and it will play back my recording. That actually sounds very good. I can't tell the difference between the original. On these speakers, I can't tell the difference between the original. I'm really impressed with the quality of this unit so far. I haven't found any fault with it. I was expecting something really cheap looking and really lightweight, but this thing actually has some weight behind it. This thing's probably about 10 pounds. It's got some weight behind it. I think it could probably use a little better tone arm and a little better cartridge on it, but you know what? The sound quality of this thing is actually not bad at all. And we'll compare this to the sound quality of my magnetic pickup on my SL M1. But there is another feature of this that, how do I stop it here? There should be a stop button here. It's got to skip forward, oh, play pause, there we go, that's how you stop it. And to turn it off, we just press the standby button there. There is another feature on this thing that I just discovered. It has Bluetooth. So we can activate the Bluetooth function and it will pair it with my Bluetooth device. So let's have it look for my phone. My phone's got Bluetooth on it, my BlackBerry. So let's see it find my BlackBerry. So I'm going to turn on the Bluetooth. I'm going to turn this unit on. And I'm going to press the Bluetooth button. And it is now going to look for my phone. And it should come up and I should find it on my phone. And it should show up on here. So I've pressed the Bluetooth search button on here. I'm just looking for it to see if it'll show up on my phone. I'm searching. Oh, there it is. 1byone BS03. It's pairing. And it is now connected. Cool. So I'm now successfully connected to 1byone BS003. So now let's see what happens when I select some of my music. There it is. It's playing the music, and it'll actually play through the speakers on here too. So that's another neat feature. So it does pair with my phone. That's kind of cool. That's almost worth it right there just to have that, just for that feature. That's a very useful feature because I don't have Bluetooth on my home stereo. I could have this hooked up to my home stereo and just use it to play music from my phone or from any other Bluetooth device straight over Bluetooth. That's kind of a cool feature. That's almost a feature worth having right by itself. I know a lot of the more modern home sound systems have got Bluetooth in them, but I don't. My system doesn't have Bluetooth. In fact, my system in my living room, it has vacuum tubes in it. And this would be a perfect addition to that because not only could I play my old vinyl, I could play stuff that I put onto a memory stick, and I can also play stuff directly from my phone. That's kind of a cool feature. Let's try a 78 RPM record on this thing and see how it sounds. Let's turn it off first of all. Oh, it didn't say power off. It said power off again. Cool. Neat little device. Let's try a 78 RPM record. So I've got this 78 RPM record. Now these things are really fragile. They break very easily because they're not made out of vinyl. They're actually made out of a bakelite. So they're heavy. They break very easily. If you drop them, they're toast. They're as rare as hen's teeth. And I just happen to have one here performed by one of the greats. Let's see if there's a year on this thing. Tell you when this was recorded. And we'll try recording this one too. Oh yes, these things move pretty quick. This is one song, right? This entire side is one song. Day by day. Cool. It actually stops at the end of the record. I like it. I mean, I thought when I first got this thing, when I was approached and asked to make a video of this unit, and I got the unit as promo, so this didn't cost me anything. I'm not giving them 2 thumbs up because I got the unit for free. If this unit had turned out to be a piece of junk, I would have told you that this unit was a piece of junk. But everything that I have seen so far, and we'll take a listen to the actual recordings that this thing has made. So far, I'm giving this thing 2 thumbs up. I'm really impressed. I didn't know what to expect when I got it, and you know, the build quality looks pretty good. We're going to take it apart too. I want to take a look at what the inside looks like. So we're actually going to take the bottom off this thing and take a look at the guts of this. But I'm going to try another recording. I'm going to go grab another LP, a studio album, one that's going to have a little bit better sound quality than the live version, because everybody knows live recordings typically, well, maybe current live recordings, they got really good sound, but stuff recorded back in the 1970s, you know, there was a lot of factors. I used the George Benson album because I have a recording of that I made off of my SLM1 with a really good high-end cartridge on it. So I want to do a direct comparison so we can compare that. I'm going to go grab another LP, one that was done in a studio, which has got really good sound, and we'll take a listen to that. Probably one of the best sounding albums that has been released over the last, at least in the analog domain, over the last 30, 40 years was the original Dreamboat Annie, the original debut album from Heart. This was recorded down at Mushroom Studios in Vancouver, BC. This was the first album that Heart had. It was recorded on the vacuum tube board that Mushroom Studios had, the old tube board. And the sound quality off of that system was just amazing. The bass and everything, the sound quality was just, this one, this isn't the only record. The Chilliwack albums that were recorded at Mushroom also had phenomenal sound. Mushroom was one of the last studios to keep a tube board. And they had a multi-track system, but it was a good analog system, and it was a vacuum tube board. Most other recording studios of the time, this is going back into the late 70s, early 80s, they'd already switched their mixing board consoles over to solid state. Mushroom kept the original tube board in, and it was a custom built, from what I understand, a custom built mixer. It was the sound quality of it is just phenomenal. Take a listen to this. One more I'm going to do is, this one was by a musician, his name is Dale Jacobs, and he released one album. It's a jazz album based out of Vancouver as well. Very good album. I'm just looking for when this one was recorded. It was about 1978, I believe. And he used some of the best studio musicians in the business at the time. And, well, let's take a listen. I've got this one also. I've also recorded this album from my Technics SLM1, so we'll do a direct comparison between the two, and I'll let you know which one you're listening to. So we'll just do the same one here. We'll set this one up. And record it.
by day. I'm falling more.
So now that we've made our recording, let's check out the playback and see how this works for USB to MP3. So we just do that by pressing the button here, and it'll start right where I left off because I haven't removed the stick. So we can skip backwards. So basically we have play and pause, and it'll play them in the order that I recorded them. So now let's just shut this unit off.
Power off.
It says to always shut off the power before removing the USB stick so that you don't damage any of your files. So turn off the power, and now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this thing apart, because I'm just as curious as you are to see what the build quality is of the actual unit itself. As Dave Jones would say, don't turn it on, take it apart. So we're going to do that. We're going to take this unit apart, and we're going to take a look at it. But I'm just going to clean up my workspace here and put all these records away. And we'll move over to the other disassembly table. I don't want to scratch this up, so I'm leaving the plastic on because this is a keeper. I'm going to keep this unit. It's actually I found it's a very functional unit, and you know what? This is a quick, easy way to get records onto MP3. And if the quality holds up and it's sounding like it's pretty good, I'm going to do a comparison to what I've already transferred, because I have literally hundreds of LPs and I haven't transferred them all over to MP3 at this point. I've done some, but I haven't done them all. And this might be just a quick, easy way to do it, where I don't have to sit down with my computer and edit everything manually. But I'm certainly going to hang on to this unit here because from what I've seen so far, I'm impressed. And it does have that 78 RPM speed. And I have tons of old 78 records that I inherited, like a whole cabinet full of them. The thing probably weighs 1,000 pounds. So, and I have no way of playing them because modern equipment doesn't have the 78 RPM speed. This one does, and it actually doesn't perform too bad considering it's not even the right type of stylus on it. But let me get this thing taken apart. Let's take a look at what this thing is made of inside. So let's start by removing the screws on the bottom of this unit. There are a series of screws. Even looks like it has a wood base on it too. This whole entire unit is wood. I'm quite impressed with that, because quite frankly I was expecting it to all be plastic when it arrived, but it's not. I've been quite impressed with at least with the top side of things. We'll see what the electronics look like once we get into it. To pry up the base to it here, and we'll find that, well, we've got, it's got a plastic amplifier box. It actually has, that's why the bass sounds pretty good on this thing. It's got a couple of small speakers, but it has an active port, so it gives it a little more bass. Let's take a look at the rest of the electronics here. And all the electronics are going to be on this little circuit board here on the back. Now the unit does feature a 3-speed motor. It is a DC motor like you would have found on a cassette deck. And it does appear that it has a speed control on here, which is good because I think the speed might be just a tad sharp. You'll hear when you listen to the recordings. This one here does have a speed control, so that's good. You can adjust the speed if you're a little bit off. You should be able to bring it back into the correct speed. This is going to be this is just going to be the interface and the USB. So everything's just connected back to this board. Let's take a look at this board here. Build quality actually looks quite good on this unit. All the wires are tied down in place so nothing is loose. They've actually even put some hot snot on here to secure the circuit board in place. It's held in place by screws, but they have put some hot glue on there to prevent vibration, I would imagine. So we'll just remove these two screws here and remove the circuit board so we can see what the electronics look like on the other side of it. Again, I don't see any plastic on this unit other than, well, I guess the table itself is plastic. The actual turntable itself, that part is plastic, and the speaker box is plastic, but the base is all wood. I mean, look at here. You know, it's actually, they glued it in place, everything's secured and everything's tight, and the base of it is wood as well. So something like this is actually quite well made, considering, you know, it's looks to be a pretty good little unit. I was hoping to get the circuit board out so that we could look at it, but they've actually got that thing attached pretty good. I don't want to force it and break it, just for the sake of showing it off here. It appears to be glued in place, and I guess that would be so that there's no vibration. You know, so all the vibration is dampened on this thing. But it looks to be, I mean, it looks to be very well made. This is just the speaker cabinet, but it is a good, I mean, even these are isolated. If you look at the speakers here, even the speakers are mounted on rubber mounts to isolate the speakers, because the vibration of the speakers, if you were using the built-in speakers, could be transmitted back into the turntable, and it's isolated. They're mounted on rubber mounts. The turntable itself is floating on springs. This actually looks to be quite a good unit, and I'm very impressed with the build quality. And I don't think not being able to take out the circuit board and examine the circuitry is of any consequence. Just looking at the board here, it looks to be well made. That's got your amplifier on it and your preamp, and it would also have the, I'm sure, the digitizing circuit for the USB, and it would have the Bluetooth built into this as well. From what I can see, this is a very well built unit, and considering the cost, I would recommend something like this for someone who's looking for this type of a unit. No, it's not going to perform as well as, say, a $500 turntable, or it's probably not even going to perform as well as a $300 turntable. But saying that, it's not a $300 turntable, and I think that the performance we get off of this unit here is very, very good considering the cost of the unit. And the build quality, well, I was expecting this thing to be all plastic. And I was quite surprised that it's actually got a very nice finished wood cabinet. Let's take some shots of the cabinet here. The finish on it is actually quite good. I see a little mark. One little mark right here on the right by the volume controller, where either there's a little scratch or the stain wasn't applied properly. But other than that, yeah, this thing is, the finish on this is actually quite good. You know, it's unless you're exceptionally picky, I think it's a winner.